Hi, Jason Dixon with Newberger & Company for your Training Tip Tuesday. It's undeniable, we're all going to make mistakes. It's our nature as humans to fail, and some of us fail a lot. We fail in our work lives, we fail in our family lives, we may fail in relationships. It happens, and that's okay. What we can't do is get hung up on it. What we can do is have a plan to address it and try and fail a little bit less each time, or at the very least learn from those failures. One of the biggest mistakes that we see, especially as it relates to delivery and say the sales environment or with salespeople, is that they overpromise and underdeliver. For example, a prospect or a client may say, when can you have that proposal or that contract back to me? The salesperson's gut, their instinct, is to say, I'll have it to you by the end of the day. What they might not have thought about was, what's all the stuff that they already have on their plate for the day? What is their to-do list as it sits now? Where does this project fit? What salesperson should have done in this case was asked, when would you like it back? Or what's a reasonable time to get it back? And then start negotiating instead of over-promising and under-delivering. So let's break this down into steps. The first thing that we need to do when we make a mistake is get out in front of it. The mistake that we make never is as big, or the impact of that mistake is never as big if we're the one bringing that problem to the person that it affects before they bring it to us. So for example, I made that promise to over-deliver, but I'm gonna miss my deadline on getting that contract or that proposal back to my prospect or my client. Pick up the phone, call them and say, I made a mistake. I overpromised. Here's what happened. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. Chances are that prospect and that client is going to be very understanding, but you got out in front of it. You brought the problem to them before they had a chance to bring it to you. Get out in front of the problem, step one. Step two, though, is now reflect. What put me in that position to begin with? What did I do that forced me to make that mistake? Chances are there is something that we could have done differently. We control that. What's the root cause that forced you to make that mistake to begin with? Step three is set new expectations, either with yourself or with the person who is going to be impacted by this promise that you're making or by this deliverable that you're setting up. Once you figure out what that root cause is, reset those expectations so that we're not disappointing anybody, especially yourself. And then finally, step four is make sure you're managing what that root cause was. Again, in this particular case, if it's a matter of putting too much on your to-do list, not managing your time well, come up with better systems and plans to manage that time. If you need any help with this, feel free to reach out to me or any of the other consultants here at Newberger & Company. Thanks.